Well, welcome everyone to Careers, Chaos, and Coaching. And we're back for another episode. And today we're tackling mind over burnout. So thank you to everyone who's already joined us. Great to see Jackie Hallberg and Aaron Gibson. Great show last night with Miss Nick. Christy, great to see you as always. And Nicole, thank you for always being here and supportive. And Alejandra, great to see you as well. So today's topic is going to be something that I think is really relevant to a lot of people. And we're going to be tackling this topic from a very intentful approach. Melissa and I, we both came at it from different approaches. And when we're talking in the pre-live, we already realized that we're already have similar solution or similar results by different approaches, but we're still trying to give you examples of what to do when you're dealing with possible burnout, whether it's how to avoid it, what happens if you start noticing signs, what happens if you're deep into it, what do you do to get out of it? And we're going to talk about all these different scenarios. And so Melissa and I are excited about talking about this topic. I think it's something that's really relevant, especially in today's world with so much happening with layoffs, job eliminations, furloughs, government agencies in question as far as the future of them. So it is something that we want to make sure that we tackle. I want to say good morning to Jen Berger. It's great to see you. And of course, Ari, mi hermanita, ¿cómo estás? Carolyn Smith, thank you for joining us. So for all of you here already, thank you. For those of you that have not commented on, let us know where you're watching from. And also those that have already commented, let us know where you're watching from, whether what city, state, country. We want to know what our audience looks like and what time zones you're in. And then also let us know if you're in Team Live or Team Replay, because when you hit Team Replay in there as well, it lets us know that, oh, hey, that's someone that was in the live. Let me go back and make sure I respond back to their comments. So it helps us out, manage it. But thank you all for being here. Today's topic is going to be really relevant. So if you have friends or family or coworkers even that are struggling with this or worry about this, repost this to your network. Go ahead and reshare it and repost it so that your network is aware of it, because there are people in your network that are not in our network. And if they're not in our network, they have no idea this is going on. So we appreciate anyone who's able to share that. And Lisa, great to see you as well. Thank you for joining us. And Janice. All right. So before we get started into the topic, let's do some introductions and catch up a little bit, because Miss Houston and I, we do a lot of texting. We catch up on a lot of like personal stuff, but when it comes to the show, we don't get a chance to talk too much about it. So thank God we're in sync on that. But Miss Houston, please introduce yourself for those people that have not had the pleasure of meeting you yet. And what are your thoughts about this topic today so far?
Well, good morning, guys. Hey, listen, I gotta say this was timely. This was a Felipe suggestion, so shout out to Felipe for bringing that up. But it was absolute confirmation because I was feeling the signs. To be honest, my first response to Felipe was like, "Heck yes, I'm feeling it. Let's do it." Maybe not exactly that, but it was pretty close. And I really started to see it happen towards the end of yesterday. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a coach and consultant, but I also am a retail manager. I run a niche motorcycle product environment up here in Bellingham, Washington. And it's inventory prep time. We're gearing up for like a busier season. We're doing all the things, right? And so it's been a lot, but good things, wonderful things, exciting things. And so I was just functioning like we all do. And I realized, okay, I'm starting to not have as big of a smile when new things are popping up. And then all of a sudden, I'm like catching myself taking deeper breaths in between conversations. And those are symptoms for Melissa. I don't know if you guys have them. If you have symptoms that like those moments, maybe my eyebrow raising is a first sign something's going wrong. You guys get what I mean. Drop those in the comments. What is a sign for you that maybe you're becoming overwhelmed, right? But so I'm seeing these symptoms. Get through the day anyway. We have a great week. But those of you who have been paying attention, Felipe knows my husband's car took a hit this week that we weren't expecting. One of his bearings exploded. It cracked his axle on his vehicle, making it no longer useful. The amount of work and time and energy that'll put into it is not worth the effort long term because it is an older car. It has been well loved and maintained, but it's not going to make it now, right? So that meant I was co-sharing rides this week for the first time, Felipe, in years. And so, end of a busy work week, I'm getting a ride from a coworker who happens to be somebody who's my assistant. And it's so kind she even wanted to do it. She offered. It was so sweet. But I took her up on it, and then I left my cell phone in her car. Felipe, I've never panicked so much in my life at the end of like this beginning burnout stage to go, I have no way to reach her. I don't social media with a lot of my coworkers, guys, that are, um, I'm leading. I don't want to use the wrong term. I don't feel like they're subordinates, right? That word came to mind. I was like, no, that's not it. We're definitely not going to use that. But anyway, it was just a lot. I left the phone. It was hilarious. I was like, God's telling me to slow down, but I felt it. And I had taken Saturday morning off, knowing that if I did Saturday morning, Saturday evening would not be successful. And now I can only imagine what else I might have forgotten yesterday had I actually held the show. So, guys, this is me owning it. I was at the end of being able to successfully smile through everything, to be able to juggle all of it. One more plate thrown in that moment would have been too much. And so I'm so excited that Felipe had the idea. It was funny that the world was just making the example fresh and relevant for today. But that's who I am. I shared all of that in my intro to say, I lead by example. I'm a coach. I'm a consultant. I'm the cultivator of dreams, motivator of human capital. And so if you want to learn more about me and other lessons I will teach, go to documentthenact.com. It is the premise in which I think all success lies. We'll visit that more when we get into how I tackle this one-on-one. But really, it's just so relevant for me. If it's relevant for you guys, feel free to share, right? You don't have to share everything you're going through, but if this is resonating, don't feel alone. Me, a coach, a consultant, somebody who helps others in this moment, feels it too, because Felipe, it's a human condition, is it not?
It is. And are you going to talk about your YouTube channel?
Well, yeah, it's there. Guys, have you found it yet? I've been secretly dripping it out on the internet. When I skipped yesterday's show, I told anybody who wanted to watch, they could find the link. So if you don't want to scan the QR code, go look at my page. The link is in the comments section of the announcement. But what I love is that since LinkedIn forced us to level up our game and leave traditional audio, we get to record these so you can be a part of team playback. And if you are, let us know. We want to know that you came back to visit. Thanks, Felipe.
You're welcome, Houston. And so before I forget, let me introduce myself. For those of you I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I am an HR professional. I've been doing HR for 30 years. And it's something I'm very passionate about, improving the workplace, creating opportunities for the employees to grow in their careers, and help people find the right jobs for the right company with the right culture, which leads me into my career coaching, which something that has been a very, very busy time right now with all the layoffs, furloughs, job eliminations, uncertainty of future of jobs. So I've been doing a lot of work with people within my community, outside my community, even within my family. So for anyone out there that is needing any of those services, feel free to reach out. I do have Cofino Consulting. If you have a question, DM me. I'm happy to answer. But if you actually need some real help, I'm happy to be there for you to offer it. I do have very reasonable fees for people that are currently unemployed, because obviously it's a lot harder to pay for things when you're unemployed. But it is something that I do try to make sure that we help out as much as possible, because the reality is that everyone needs a little bit of help. And I know people have helped me along the way. And this has been my way and Melissa's way of giving back during these shows by giving you that free insight. So if you come up here and ask questions, and you come up here or put in the chat, you get free insights and answers. So feel free to follow me and reach out to me for Cofino Consulting. And like Melissa, I am trying to increase my YouTube page. I'm 2 people away from 60. I know that does not sound like a lot, but it's growing. And it's starting to become a much more of a useful tool to share some of the work that we do and really give people a chance to understand the stuff that we're doing. Because of this and because of you all, we've been able to really help so many other people that maybe aren't on LinkedIn normally, but because of word of mouth and referrals, we've been able to do a lot of help. So this is just one way that people are able to go and view some of the things that we've shared without reaching out to us directly, because it's free advice. So with that being said, let's dive into the topic. And I'm going to put the link shortly in the chat or in the comments for you all to join us on stage. We really encourage you all to join us on stage, because a lot of times the questions that you ask are probably a burning question in someone else's mind that maybe just wasn't ready to come up on stage and ask it. So please know that by you being courageous and sharing those questions and being vulnerable, it is also helping somebody else in addition to hopefully you. And I do want to give a shout out to Lowe's from the Netherlands. I always appreciate when she shows up. And Azad, thank you for coming as well. And Marcello, my friend, it's great to see you as always. Adrian, thank you for being such an amazing supporter. And Martha, my Social Saturday buddy, Impact Connect Hub, check that out if you want to see the amazing work that Martha's doing with the in-house community. And Stephen Eng, our resident librarian, and Annie Osung, who is the godfather of LinkedIn events. He's helped people just reach the potential. Amazing guy. And I think those are all the people that I.
Okay.
Oh, Brenda, hold on. Wait, I gotta say hi to Brenda Miller, because she's another person who does amazing work out there. Helps a lot of people. And Jay, thank you for coming, Jay, as well. We got a full house, my friend. We got a lot of people here, so I just want to make sure that we recognize the people that are in house. Deb Haas.
I would like to also recognize a comment, though. So can I please have a second?
And Kim Graff. And Kim Graff, thank you for coming. And all right, that's everybody. All right, Houston, please go ahead. Recognize.
I don't know about you guys. I get hecka anxiety when people run a list so quickly that I can't even jot it down. So that's part of my reason with Felipe
Why
not
are you
loving
trying to jot
this.
it down?
Here, I want
to in the comments.
hush, please. Let me have a moment. I need this because this isn't about me, and it's a comment somebody shared here. So Nick said, I kind of feel lousy being here today. I wasn't laid off in a time that this is happening. I resigned. Now, hold on. I need people to understand, while Felipe does help with transitions, while the world is saying there's a lot of chaos out there and it's overwhelming because of layoffs and transitions in politics, overwhelm happens by entrepreneurs all the time, by business owners, by employees, by housewives, by retired professionals, by everybody. This is a human condition, and the only qualification to be here today is a human. So if you're not from Earth, I mean, maybe you're stressed out too. Maybe you're waiting to go home, right? Maybe ET was stressed the heck out. So I don't care who you are, where you are, why you're here. It matters, and it's valuable, and we're very glad you're here. Very, very glad. So stay tuned. Just wanted to share that thought.
No, and I'm really glad you shared that. And Nick, here's the thing. Whether you resign, whether you're wondering, is this the right job to take right now? All these things can impact burnout, the stress of taking a new job, all that stuff. So being able to manage, figure it out is important. And I just want to share one thing that you all made me think about. My son reached out to me yesterday. He's been doing this internship at this company. He's graduating this May. I'm very proud of him. And he's thinking about the next job. And he says the internship he's doing that's by the school is willing to offer him a remote opportunity. It'd be a lot of commission work, low salary, but commission, but it's a chance for him to grow, learn marketing. He already knows the company, but he doesn't know if it's necessarily the type of work he wants to do moving forward. And I talked to him about it. He asked me questions, and he at the end said, what's your gut feeling? I said, right now, with the economy, the job, all the layoffs, everything, if it's something that you have interest in and you're willing to give it a try, I think it's a good opportunity, because you know the people, you know the type of work you're getting into, you have your eyes wide open, and it's a little bit of job security during a very uncertain time. So I share that with you all because sometimes we take opportunities, and I'm not saying take a bad job that's toxic and is horrible, but sometimes you take the opportunity that you know is okay and adds security in a time when there isn't any. And remember, you're always growing and learning skills during that time. So I wanted to share that real quick, because I think it's important for people to remember that. Because there is so much uncertainty. People are getting laid off during the probationary periods in the government. So if you've been in the government less than a year, you're going to be let go. That's scary, y'all. I have friends, family that are affected by this. So it
Well,
is
not only that, Felipe, did you hear it's promotions too? So if you did a great job and were promoted within the last 12 months, you are still a
yeah,
probationary
your probationary
employee.
period. Yep.
So, guys, imagine getting the gold star we all strive for if you're talking with me, right? Like, we want that gold star on the chart. We have since second grade. You do so great that you're promoted and then immediately fired by a sweep of. This is the stuff like nobody is immune. Yes, it's relevant because of politics. So please know that the show is so purple that we are right in the middle. Like we Venn diagram this, right, Felipe? It is absolutely, we talk about the center. And in the center right now is a bunch of humans going, wait a minute, I did a good job. I got laid off anyway because I was a quote unquote probationary employee. We've seen other organizations do mass layoffs this week, not even related to politics necessarily directly. Maybe there's some overlap there. We won't get into that. That's not the premise of the show. But guys, if you live in any country that's on the news talking about stuff being taxed or changing or new alliances happening above your pay grade, wherever you live, wherever you are, wherever you work, it's stressful because somebody above you could make a decision that could change your life forever in many ways right now. And so please know this is not to push our political vision, preferences. It's our point of view in what we are experiencing in our lives, and we want it to be taken as such. So please keep the commentary the same way. Very kind, friendly, PBS style, right? This is Sesame Street-esque, Felipe, where we talk about how we're feeling, but we don't attack. You never see people fight on Sesame Street.
Well,
Now, that said,
Melissa and I bicker. We don't fight.
right, let's tell them. You might see Felipe and I push each other a little bit, throw elbows like siblings on a couch fighting over the last spot next to mom or whatever, right? That's fine and that's fun and that's part of the show.
Throwing the pillows at my face.
That is part of the entertainment section, but it really is about education more, trying to figure out how we all move forward together, because that's what our network does. That's what the people who move in our circles end up doing, is we try to elevate each other. We try to pull each other forward. We don't always have to agree. That is something Felipe and I have proven with your guys' support. The show is growing, right, Felipe? We're seeing new numbers every week.
Exactly.
But
so,
it's with that respect that we move forward today. So just remember that, guys.
Well, let's get into the topic, because I know that people have been sharing a lot of comments here. And again, for those of you who've joined us, thank you. Sharon, great to see you. Kenny, great to see you. I saw somebody else. Oops, I just messed up the overlay there. That joined us. So thank you, everyone that's joined us. And as a reminder, please go ahead and reshare the room with your network so that they know we're going on live, so they can join this important conversation, because we're diving into it right now. And Houston, would you mind doing me a favor? Could you put the link in the comment of the post as well as in the chat for people to join us?
Oh, sure. I can try to figure that out.
Oh, I just sent it to you. Just copy and paste.
Cool. I'm working on it. Don't be mean. If you're mean,
I'm not.
Come on.
All right, everyone. Nice. All right. So let's dive into the topic, because I here's the thing. I know that we talked a lot about stuff that can cause people stress, anxiety, and we're here to give you some solutions. And I want to start off with some stats in case you're not aware, because you're not alone. It's impacted a lot of people. And I wrote a post yesterday about people not feeling alone, that you're worth so much more than you probably realize. You have skills that are so much more valuable than you realize. And there's an opportunity for you to really just open your eyes and see how much you have to offer somebody out there. So with that being said, I want to share a few stats. So for those of you that are data nerds and love data, I want to share some things about workplace burnout, okay, that has been happening. And this is our stats as of 2025. These are all you stats, okay? So over 2/3 of people have experienced at least one symptom commonly linked to workplace burnout in the past month. So that's basically in the month of January to February. And these are based on U.S. surveys. So just wanted to let you know. And these are things like things of lack of interest, motivation, lack of energy. And that's a huge thing, 2/3. So that tells you that 67% of Americans working have experienced at least one sign that they could be headed toward burnout. That's a huge thing. And that was from the select software reviews. The second point was 2/3 of managers struggle with workloads and spending time up to 75% of the day in meetings, which leaves almost no time for them to do actual work. That's huge stress. Have you ever been in a meeting that people are just chatting about nothing and you're like, I have so much work to do, I need to get out of here? That is stressful. And that was from HR Drive. The next one is about 95% of HR leaders. I know I'm HR, but I wanted you all to think about this. Find in HR overwhelming because of the excessive workload and stress. HR gets pulled in every single direction. People pull on you for professional help, personal help, medical help, sometimes psychological and legal help. So you're getting pulled in so many different directions. It can get very overwhelming, especially during uncertain times. The next one, 44% of American K through 12 teachers report feeling burned out as often or always, making them the most burned out profession in the US. That's huge. And that says something about how wrong things are set up. The people that are teaching the future generations are feeling so burnt out that they can barely give the attention that these children deserve. And that's something that's almost half the teachers. The next one is 25% of remote employees experience loneliness at work compared to only 16% of fully on site. Now, I think there's a happy medium there. 25%, 16%. You could say, maybe 18% of hybrid workers experience it. But again, there's value in coming to work and engaging with people in person. And the last stat is this: younger workers are more likely to feel tense or stressed during the workday compared to older workers. So 48% of workers between 18 and 25 reported feelings, while only 17% of people over the age of 65 reported the same feeling. So there are some stats I wanted to share with you all briefly real quick, because that's something that I think is important for you all to realize, that this is actual data that supports the fact that this is not only just a US problem, it's a global problem. All right. Now, real quick, Houston, before I hand it over to you, I want to share some things real quickly, because I do have some graphics, and so do you.
Take your time. I didn't mean to unmute. I'm so sorry.
Oh, look at you being all kind and sweet about unmuting. Usually you don't care about unmuting. All right. So Felipe's 5. I'm giving you a 2 for today. All right. There's 5 Felipe's 5 for each of the 5. So that's why I'm going to go quick. But that's why I love these visuals, because y'all can take screenshots and go back to it. So first thing, this is all about burnout here. Okay. So we're talking about different scenarios of burnout. All right. These first 2 are about prioritizing your mental health. And there was just too many issues or too many recommendations to keep it to 5. So there's actually 10 on this one. All right. So 1 is control what you can and release what you can't. Make a list of the controllable things, make a list of the non-controllable things, and put the non-controllable list to the side and focus on the things that you can control and make a plan. 2, select non-negotiable boundaries. We talk about that all the time. If you set a boundary, make sure you communicate it respectfully and hold people to it, but also hold yourself to it, you all. Make sure that you are reminding yourself that, hey, I set this boundary. I need to keep this boundary for my own benefit. Nobody else is violating it but yourself sometimes. Find stability in routine. Getting up every day at the same time, even if you're off, taking a shower, making sure you go and eat, making sure you exercise if you have a routine. Keeping that routine, whether it's daily, 3 times a week, whatever it is, keep it consistent. That's going to help you in your mental health. 4, recognize signs of burnout early. If you start seeing them, don't ignore them. Don't say, oh, no, I'm fine. Make a mental note. Start just looking for other ones just in case. 5, take micro breaks to reset. Don't feel guilty about lying down for 10 minutes for a minute, or going for a walk, or sitting down and watching a half-hour show just to get your mind off things. It's okay to do that, especially if you are feeling the stress. Okay. The next one here is number 6, stay connected and don't isolate yourself. Engage with social connections have been proven in all generations to add value to your mental health, especially as you get older, but in all ages, it is a valuable thing. So stay connected. Don't let fear prevent you from going out. 7, reframe change as opportunity. Change can be scary, but the reality is we're used to it, you all. We deal with change every single day. We change schools, we change jobs, we change homes, we change clothes, we change our hairstyles. We are used to dealing with change. So reframe it in your mind. Instead of looking at it as a negative, look at it as an opportunity of what can I do differently in you. That's exciting sometimes. Number 8, know when to ask for help. That's so important. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and intelligence when you know when to ask for help. Number 9, practice gratitude and mindfulness. We say it all the time. Use a Calm app. Use any of those apps that give you a guided medication. Remind yourself of 5 things you're grateful for every morning. Even if that 5th thing is that you just woke up, that's fine if you can't think about anything else, but be grateful for that and come up with 4 other things. Number 10, develop a personal resilience plan. And I'm sure that Houston will talk about this when she gets to her recommendations, but she'll say document and act, and that's what I'm going to repeat here is develop a plan of resilience of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and then document it, and then practice it. All right. Now, these next ones are going to be very quick here. Number 3 here. Number 3 here is things if you don't think you're burnt out, but you want to avoid it in case, just in case. So here are people that are not currently burnt out, but there's a lot of stress going on. You could get burnt out if you don't pay attention. So here are things to do. Prioritize with purpose. Make sure you prioritize the things that are important in your life and do those first. Define and defend your boundaries. If you have them, keep them up because obviously they're working for you. Take the intentional breaks like we mentioned, especially if you're doing it now. Don't feel guilty. Work smarter, not harder. Use ChatGPT to help you format something instead of spending time to format. Or, don't recreate the wheel. If someone's already recreated something, use it and customize it to what you need. I'm not saying copy and plagiarize, but if someone's like, hey, yeah, you can use this this format I used or this graphic. And number 5, take the moment to regularly reflect and adjust. Sit there and review and think about what you've done past day or week. Has it worked for you? Are you going in the right direction? If not, readjust. All right. Number 4, here are the 5 signs that you may already be in burnout and just don't realize it. And you're like, oh, crap. Is it too late? No, it's not too late. But here are things that you might be feeling that are signs that you are probably already in burnout and you just don't realize it. 1, you're consistently fatigued and you have lack of energy. You feel like taking naps and you never were a nap person. And you can fall asleep very easily and sometimes you just don't want to get out of bed. Number 2, increased irritability and emotional detachment. You tend to feel like, you know what, that's not my problem. Usually you would care about someone going through something and you're like, I don't have the energy to worry about them. Or you get irritable about silly things that normally wouldn't bother you. Number 3, do you feel like you've declined in productivity and focus? Like you can't focus on your work as much as you used to. You're not as productive. You're not as passionate. That's a sign. 4, physical symptoms, headaches, stomach aches, any kind of body aches. That's a sign that you're tensing up all the time, that your body is reacting to how much stress you're holding on to. And then 5, loss of passion and increased cynicism. That loss of passion, you know it when you have it. You know that normally, oh, I love getting on LinkedIn. I love going for walks. I love going to see my family. And all of a sudden you're like, I haven't been on LinkedIn for a week. I missed that party this weekend. I didn't go. These are all things that you are probably already dealing with some level of burnout. All right. And then lastly, number 5, how to battle the burnout in the moments. Now we talked about these again, but if you're in that moment right now, pause and acknowledge it. Don't ignore it. Don't try to push it away. Don't try to pray and hope it goes away. You got to acknowledge it. Number 2, find a way to step away and recharge. Does that recharge mean taking a break and reading a book, watching a show, going for a walk, sitting down in a comfortable chair and just relaxing and meditating? Whatever it is, do what you need to do to recharge. 3, make your rest and recovery prioritize your rest and recovery, meaning get your 6 to 7 to 8 hours sleep, really 7 to 8 hours sleep. Try to get that and make that a priority. Go to bed earlier if you can, but that is going to help. And then seek support and set boundaries. Like I said, it's no shame in not getting therapy or talking to your doctor or talking to a friend, and set those boundaries for yourself because you need them. Clearly, there's things that are impacting you. So what are those things that are impacting you? And set a boundary so that you can decide when's the best time to deal with it. Boundaries are not meant to prevent you from dealing with things. It's saying that boundaries are meant to help you decide when's the best time to be able to deal with it and how. And then 5, reevaluate and reprioritize. Again, reflect over the last day or week. Think about what you've done. Is it working? Is it not working? If you need to readjust. It's okay. So that is a long one, you all, but it was important for me to share those things because as I was writing down these notes and going through and preparing, I was like, there's just so many different scenarios that could happen. So that's why I wanted to give you all different scenarios. And I hope you found that somewhat helpful. Houston, what are your thoughts as we go into your wonderful...
Honestly, no, pause. We're not going to go into mine right now. I'm going to be honest. That is a lot of data, Felipe. So we're going to go into just conversation for a minute to let them process because I don't even know where to begin. So can we go into the comments for a section?
Well, we have Nick too, by the way. So
I understand. I know. Can we go into the comments though and break it up a little bit? Because I feel like some of the feedback I'm getting is people can't keep up. They're overwhelmed by the data, and I don't want to just hammer more down their throat right now. So let's go ahead and just revisit the comment section for a minute. Please, can you do it? I'm actually gonna kind of go through some of your
you're coming in and out a little bit with your mic.
Yeah, can you go over the comments for me?
You're coming up in and out a little bit with the mic. So, all right. So let's go through the comments here. Melissa, your mic is coming. Yeah. Your mic is coming in and out though. You're gibberish right now. All right. So let me pull some of these comments here. All right. All right. So here we have Aaron saying, Burnout, I feel should be at the forefront of a plan to help pace yourself with reasonable balance. Asking for help does not equal weakness. I totally agree, Deb. Let's see. All right, so I think that was responding to Jen, but yeah, let's go over here.
Felipe, are you hearing me better? Are you good? Because I don't know if it's your internet now. You're kind of choppy for me too, so I don't know if it's near you.
You're a little bit better right now. So, all right, so let's go down. Here we go. All right, so as far as Aaron, mental health breaks along with physical breaks, absolutely. Physical breaks are huge. Chris says good morning. Let's see. Kim is a visual learner. She appreciates that. Ari agrees that gratitude changes attitude. Aaron says keep an eye out on showing signs of burnout and reach out to them. Absolutely. Let's see. Kim, she called out number 9. If you do it daily, it trains your brain to look for things you are grateful for throughout the day. That was a gratitude one. Aaron says freaking out because autocorrect. There's what?
He was trying to type it. I think, honestly, I just got some messages that your mic was going in and out, and maybe it was your signal because they were hearing me okay, just so you know. Listen, guys, I think, honestly, all of Felipe's stuff, I know he posts them, and he will. So if you were trying to take notes like I was just taking pictures at one point because I could not write that quickly. I was trying to listen and observe to, absorb it all. But Felipe, you were spitting it out quick fire, rapid fire, which is great, but it is going to be required for some of you to go like play it back. If you really want to dive in, take your time. You can pause. That's what's great about YouTube being recorded, is because you can break it down in your own time, section by section, screenshot by screenshot, and just really dive into it. And then once you've broken it down yourself, listen to it again, right? Like while you're doing your dishes, whatever, just play it back and really let it resonate. If you want to learn a topic, you can't visit it once either. And so please don't be scared to revisit this over and over again with yourself, with others, with lots of different facets, right? And that's something that comes down to what he wrote down, is like assessing. We talk about it all the time. I'm a big fan, document then act, like Felipe said. And if you don't assess, how do you know you're doing it right or well or moving towards the right place, right? When you drive in a car, if you're not assessing your turns and which direction, and is the, am I still heading north, you're going to end up in the wrong space. And that is true of all things in life. And so I think it's really important. And Felipe, we can do my quick little things. I don't want to spend too long because I really want to dive into some of these great conversation topics and Nick and all of the things. But I do have to say, Gregory, I saw a comment on Aaron Gibson's show that you wanted to know more about my quotes. And so I thought this was a perfect time to talk about how I assess and what makes me me, right? So the first one here, victory and victim both start out the same way. It's up to you how it ends. The premise behind that was I was 16 years old, sitting on the side of the road, trying to determine if I should just jump into traffic. True story. And I was sitting there and I wrote down the word victim because I felt like one, and I was crap talking myself because I was in that mindset, right? True story. And then I wrote victory right behind it because I was also learning about God a little bit. And victory is something that comes up a lot in conversation when you talk about faith. And I'm not going to push it on you, but that was where my mind was, right? And so when I had them right next to each other, I realized they start out literally VICT, both of them, the same way. And it's up to us to decide how we're going to finish it. And so that's where that quote came from. And I think when you get into burnout, it's the same assessment, right? Are you going to be a victim to your situation? Are you going to take action to be victorious and have an outcome that you desire? Being a victim does not mean like, I don't think you tried. I don't want you to misunderstand the word. I know that word has been thrown around in ways that is not so kind, but that wasn't it. I was being a victim to myself because I was allowing myself no option to leave the environment which was making me feel that way. And so creating an environment for yourself to thrive in is step one, right? Making the determination that what is no longer suiting you or making you feel that way, you can shift from. So that's what that is, right? The "you got browed" quote, which Gregory just commented, came from the eyebrow raise. And actually Gretchen Skalka, who I was on her show a long time ago, she created that visual. It was a running joke that when my clients weren't listening, or if they made it, brought an idea that maybe I wasn't really aligned with or didn't understand, my eyebrow would kind of question what was happening. And so that's the "you got browed." The next thing is document then act, right? That came from me being a little girl sitting in a booth on a Friday night. My mom was a waitress. I watched her serve all of these customers. And she served this table full of professionals. And I watched her listen to what they said and write it down. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, they want so many different things, right? You can imagine, guys, no sour cream on this one, no cheese on this one, extra guacamole on this one, whatever it was. And I really expected her to not get it right. I don't know why I was a mean child, but in my brain, I was just like, oh, my mom's, maybe it's because she was so perfect in every way. And so maybe I was expecting this to be the one time. I don't know. But I watched her execute it perfectly. And then I watched this meeting take place as my mom went about her business and I sat in the booth. I watched other people get served, and I watched this conversation happen between the business people of them then writing down things their boss said, and then they would go back and act on it, right? And so that seed was planted early, and when I got into business, I understood it, and I sat in meetings, and it kind of was a moment of I'm just sitting here in the booth watching these guys, and I'm taking notes, and it's not any different than when I was in the booth without a pen or without a crayon even. I was just mentally taking notes. And so still, mindset, premise, what are you observing? What are you doing? What are you writing down and acting on to change your life? Is it just making sure it's a good order for dinner? That's cool. Is it something bigger? That's cool too. executing what you write down and act on is important. And then you're going to write your story either way. And I think this one is perfect to then transition to Nick with, because I really believe that if you don't pick up the pen and get intentional, somebody else is going to write it for you. It could be your boss dictating your schedule because you didn't define your terms. It could be a lack of a contract making you come back to work because it wasn't written in stone that you always get to do that. It could be people telling you when you get to work here or no longer get to work here, right? You get to determine if you're staying or going in some ways. You can stay until they tell you to go, or you can go sooner and shift before. There's a lot of things. And I'm not saying this is perfect, but I do want you to be intentional about your story. Because if your actions are going to determine how tomorrow looks, what will you change today? What new thing will you add to make tomorrow better? Right. And so that's it, guys. Burnout, you got to watch the signs. I started with, hey, I forgot my cell phone in my assistant's car, which I had loaned my car out because my husband's car wasn't good and we were trying to make it work. And that added to the chaos. That was that one extra plate that threw me slightly off my game. And I'm a coach. But if I don't pause and rest now, reflect, clear my plate, next week's going to be harder, right? And so just be mindful as you approach it. Felipe, that's kind of my simple, concise takeaway with a few of my quotes explained for those who are new or didn't understand yet. And yeah, what are your thoughts? How does that overlap with the 5 times 5? Or
Well,
that was a great list shared, by the way.
I'm getting messages from about the burnout. So thank you everyone who messaged about the screenshots. Yes, you can take screenshots. You can watch it in replay. Thank you, Deb and Kim and everybody who messaged me. It is something that's the great thing about being recorded, is that you have the ability to go back. And that's why I create the graphics. Because before in the audio, we would just rattle them off and hope and pray that you all wrote them down. But now you have the ability to screenshot, go back and watch the replay, and listen to it at your leisure. So hopefully that is a little bit more beneficial, because the burnout is real, y'all. It is. It impacts us at different levels, different stages, different times, different ways. And I want to go to our wonderful friend Nick here, who has done a lot in her life. She's experienced a lot in her life, and I'm sure you have some wonderful insights to share. So the mic is yours, Nick. And please introduce yourself for those who have not met you yet.
Hey, good morning, guys. Before I introduce myself, I just want to say that, I don't always get an opportunity to come up and speak. So I really enjoy this conversation. And I think a big part of the reason I do is because of the diverse backgrounds that you and Melissa both have. So the insights that you bring to the table are so different. Um, Perspective to me is just, it's shaped on your experiences. So having people that align is great, but having people that align but have their own unique spin is so helpful. So I'm Nick. Um, I go by the Gifted Bipolar Writer. That's what the GBW is. I changed my tagline recently because some people, newer people getting to know me, didn't understand what the GBW was. So I guess I want to start with my comment earlier about feeling lousy about being here because I resigned from my position. And given the climate right now in the world, with everybody sort of, tense about job security. So this topic on burnout really resonates with me because even in the best of situations, best of work environments, you can burn out. Um, Not just because of what you're doing on a you know, behind the scenes. For example, I'm running, the Gifted Bipolar Writer part time, and therefore I was finding myself every evening doing 2 to 4 hours, gone to bed late, working all weekend, and yeah, that was definitely starting to take its toll. But my passions lay in what I was doing outside of my 9 to 5. Um, I liked what I did. I loved my team. I loved the company. a lot of respect for leadership there. And I think the best part for me is I learned so much there that I took away that I now practice daily running my own business. So, burnout wise, I want to definitely say recognizing the signs are so important. But even then, it could be something as simple as you loved what you did and you're waking up every morning finding that there's something else you love to do more. When, tasks start to feel redundant, when I'm getting a headache 2, 3 times during the week, um, you know, when I'm not even getting up to walk away from my desk uh, because I feel the burden of the workload to get through it. Things like that, like made me realize that my passions were starting to dwindle in my 9 to 5. And I used to be able to balance that with my creativity and the personal passions I had. It started to be a point where it wasn't enough. Like Felipe said, when you don't love the things that you used to love doing anymore, it's a problem. And, like Melissa says, if you don't take note of where you were, where you are now, and, consider why you are where you are now, and then don't make the changes, then, you're definitely going down that road of burnout. So, yeah, that was my share. Oh, I didn't share too much about me, but that's okay. I want other people to talk.
Well, I'll share about how what a wonderful influence you've been on other people because you're the one publisher who brought us all together for this wonderful book that Melissa and I were in with you. But I appreciate you sharing your journey there, Melissa. Sorry, Nicole, and I'm going to go to Melissa here to follow up with you. But I just want to say that you are so inspiring because you share your journey as you're going through it. A lot of people share their journeys after the fact. Well, this is what I did 10 years ago. This is what I did 5 years ago. You are like sharing it with us real time, like almost like reality TV. And one of the benefits to us is that we get to see the pros and cons as you're going through it because you're so transparent and so kind enough to share that you're allowing people to see the successes, but also some of the failures, and then how you manage through it. And I think that's a huge attribute and such a commendable quality to have. And I always respect you so much for it because it really does help so many people out there. And I think that your mindset about things are just great examples of how to tackle some of things as they, rise in your life. So thank you for coming up and sharing that. I encourage the rest of you to join us. Houston, over to you, my friend.
Nick, I love what you're doing. I mean, honestly, guys, I don't know if you know this, but Beyond Publisher, Nick is somebody I'm coaching for her new business venture. And something that I've always aligned with Nick on and something that drew me in was her transparency in her journey, her focus on sharing her story about being bipolar, right? And being able to explain how that affects her day to day. That's exactly what Felipe and I do here in this room. That's what a lot of our friends on stage. And if you're not on stage yet, please mute because I'm getting a lot of feedback. But I'm just, it's something that you need to surround yourself with people who are willing to share their journey, who will tell you, hey, I forgot something, like I left my keys in my car, or I've left my cell phone somewhere, or I was inhaling more often between transitions in my day, right? Those moments of maybe you're eating a little more, your body is giving you signs like I need more fuel. Sometimes, quote unquote, overeating is literally because you're overworking and your body's burning all these calories and moving in ways that an 8-hour day would be fine on a $2,000 calorie diet. But nutritionists can tell you, like, if you're putting 12 hours of workout in, you may need more. The Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? He doesn't hurt his body doing what he's doing because he increases his caloric intake when he does heavier stuff. And guys, are you increasing your downtime when you're doing more uptime? That's a question I love to ask myself, but because if I'm catching myself being frazzled, I will go to a nap. Now, taking a nap more often is a plan of mine. So that doesn't necessarily show me that it's a sign of burnout. There is something beautiful about creating a space where I can be in my bedroom reading a book and drift into a nap if I choose to, right? It doesn't mean I'm burnout and I just fall asleep as soon as I sit down in my chair with my clothes still on from work.
No,
That's
it's definitely not a sign of,
right?
it could also be a sign of old age. That's all.
You would know for sure. And so, guys, you have to do it for you. There is no one size fits all approach. Anybody who says there is wrong, because depending on where you are, your family dynamics, your situation, your finances, your neighbor, right? Your neighbor could change everything. If they bang on the drum all night long, doesn't matter what you do, it's going to bother you and affect you in a way that can burn you out without permission. And so make sure you're assessing what you can change. If you can't change it now, make a plan for when you can. Those are things, right? I would love to hear from others on stage, but that's what I was getting. Nick, and Nick, thank you so much for sharing your story all the time. Follow her if you're not, guys. Fantastic people coming.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say thank you so much, but let me off the stage. Like, I don't like to be rude and just disappear.
Okay, I'll move you into the green room. You can step down. And our next wonderful speaker we have is Sharon. So Sharon, thank you for joining us on stage. Please unmic, introduce yourself, and let us know your thoughts or questions.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize my mic was not muted, so thank you for alerting me. And I'm here actually today because I absolutely love this topic. I know, Felipe, you and I have had some offline, conversations, and we're due to have another one really soon. But I really came on to say this. I have lived my employment life with a lot of uncertainty, even in times of where there was more stability in employment. Because a lot of you who have heard me speak before, those of you who know me, have heard me say that I did experience a lot of discrimination because of my disability. And that's just a fact. I'm not going to get into all the details because it's not worth it. But what I've learned is this. I made a shift for a variety of reasons to become an entrepreneur. That was one of them. My family needs was another. And in becoming an entrepreneur, there's a lot of uncertainty. There is. And there's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of emotional ups and downs. There's a lot of business ups and downs. But the one thing that I always tell myself, and I don't use the word always a lot, I'm not big on always and never, but the one thing I always tell myself is I'm creating job security for myself being an entrepreneur. This is how I feel. This is my opinion for my life. I'm creating job security by being an entrepreneur because I'm not going to fire myself. But the one thing that I've learned, or I've learned a lot by being an entrepreneur, but one very important thing I learned is you're not a failure if something's not working. If something is not working, it's just a message that you need to shift and redirect what you're doing. So I've always been very flexible in my mind throughout my life because I've had to be. But being an entrepreneur has made me even more flexible and adaptable because if something's not working, I realize that I have to shift and I have to document and act so that I know what's working and what's not working. And I know where, or I better know where to make the shift. And so that's what I wanted to share with everybody, because in this time of uncertainty, we're all going through times of uncertainty, I'm sure, in one way or another. And so I want to help people rely on yourself, because yes, we can rely on others, and yes, we need human contact and we need validation from external sources. But the most important gift you can give yourself is to rely on yourself and to rely on what you know is best for your situation, because there's nobody else living your exact situation. And so I just wanted to thank you guys for always having such a great space and being willing to talk about the topics that are real and tough and the ones that need to be talked about. And I just respect you both and everybody that's here in the comments so much. I know many of you, if not all of you, and that's really what I wanted to share.
Well, thank you, Sharon. And I really appreciate you coming up here and sharing all that, because you shared some really valuable stuff. And knowing when to shift is important. And that goes to knowing yourself, like you said. And it's so important to know yourself, listening to yourself, listen to your body, listen to your mind. Our mind and body are so much more complicated than we will ever understand. So we've got to listen to them when they are reacting a certain way, because it's trying to tell us something. And I think that listen to yourself, obviously, but I will say listen to others too, because sometimes when we're in denial, we need somebody else to wake us up. So listen to yourself and all that. I totally agree 110%. But if people are trying to get through to you because maybe you're not aware, make sure that you're taking that in. It doesn't mean you have to do what they say, but make sure you process it and consider it, because you're not always thinking about all options. And as you were talking, Sharon, one thing that I was reading was this study, and they were doing it with a number of college students that were applying for jobs, and they all had interviews. And the interviewer said, okay, well, here's the job. You need to be available for this individual 24 hours a day. You need to be on call. You need to be able to help them prepare for the day, prepare for their evening, wrap up for the evening. You have to be available for the meals. You have to be available for their nap time when they have a nap. You have to be available for their cleaning of their laundry. You have to make sure that sometimes you get to feed them. You might need to feed them. And the job pays nothing. And so the students at first were like, okay, personal assistant, this and that, going through, like, wait, pay nothing? It's like, that's not a real job. Like, yeah, it is. It's a job of a mother. And I'm sharing that story because of this. Mothers take on, and we all know, so many responsibilities and wear so many hats, as do fathers in many cases. But mothers consistently typically wear multiple hats. And when you are taking on, and I forget who said it in the comments, it might have been Aaron, when people take on too many hats and wear too many responsibilities, that is a recipe for burnout. And so that's why there's that phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Yeah, for a period of time. But if it's ongoing and you never get a break, it might just kill you. So yes, for a short period of time, be strong, bear down, suck it up, and get through it. I'm all fan of that, because we need to be tough sometimes and get through it, and then we can deal with it after the fact. But if it's indefinite, something's got to change. And I think that's the important thing that we have to remember is when do I need to bear down or grin and bear it, and when do I need to actually make a change? So with that, Houston, I'm going to pass it over to you.
I keep thinking back to being a single mom, trying to do college on the bus. I was using every government asset available to me. So I try to imagine today's humans being in that position I was in. And if you guys have heard the story, you've heard it. If you haven't, it was 5 buses. Took a toddler to daycare, had to get off the bus to get back on the bus to make sure the kid was dropped off so I could go to school. I did my college work after he was dropped off, before he was picked up on the bus. I was trying to manage a life with $247 granted to me by the federal government to live on and sustain every month. That a lot of stuff, the SNAP benefits, I had probably about the same in food. And guys, you want to talk about burnout? How do you successfully make a child thrive? How do you make your house thrive when you live in a state where $150 a month is the average utility bill and you get $247? So imagine today that I am that human. And then I read on the news how many people think I'm not doing enough. So the other thing I want to say is in that time when I was stressed out back then, right, if I'm talking just then, I had helpers. And it's something I talked about a little bit today on a different platform. But Mr. Rogers always comes to mind. And a quote he had, and I don't want to misquote Mr. Rogers because that would be a terrible thing to do. So I'm going to pull it up, but something that really moved me because it was the helpers in my life that got me to be where I am today, to be a helper and have this show with Felipe and to do the give back. But the quote from him was, when I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. Fred Rogers. Now, I'm going to swap news with life for a moment. I'm going to take that liberty. And I'm just going to say, who are your helpers? Do you have them? If you're not feeling burnout, can you become a helper today? Who is one person who may not be acting, quote unquote, normal anymore? They're stressed. They're different. Maybe they're short. Maybe they don't hang out. Maybe they're letting you go to voicemail. Maybe the kids seem unruly. Maybe their yard isn't being kept as often as it used to be. Guys, look at your neighbors. You can tell. Who's leaving the bin out? Who's forgetting to take the bin to the... I forgot my cell phone in a car, and my cell phone connects me to every human who relies on me to coach them. I had no way to reach my staff beyond that cell phone to even tell them, you have my cell phone. And they were being a helper. And honestly, I let her help me because I saw her want to be a helper. I didn't need it, but I wanted to give opportunity. And then it set me up to need more help, right? But look around, because there are other humans in your life who are forgetting their cell phone, losing their keys, eating Cheez-Its for lunch because they forgot theirs at the fridge. Think about those people, because those are symptoms. Those are signs. And that's what keeps coming for me, is maybe keep those not so kind assumptions to yourself, because we don't know what we don't know about other humans. I know marketing is marketing for any reason. And so if you're seeing a headline that's marketing, be careful with what you're aligning with in marketing. That's a brand statement that we've covered a long time, right? But kindness is really the thing that I want to overlap with most. I think everybody here in my network would say that's their priority here too, is to acknowledge, share, and be kind and help each other out. So if you don't have those people, find them in the comments. Ask us. If you need something, DM us, guys. If you have a private question, a private anything, like, hey, I need somebody who can talk to me about X, whatever, and not the platform. I didn't mean that, but insert here, right? Like whatever that is, ask. We are willing to connect. Felipe has a vast network, right? He's a top voice. I have a few friends here too. Let us help you do that. Felipe, I'm going to come back to you.
Thank you, Melissa. And I love what you were sharing, because the reality is, as you're talking, there's so many different scenarios, and burnout doesn't discriminate. Whether you're a single mother, a caretaker, you're burned out because of being overworked, and I want to make sure that people understand that one of the things that whether you're a caretaker, you're employed, you're single, burnout and depression share very similar qualities or symptoms. Chronic fatigue, loss of motivation, cognitive difficulties, irritability and mood changes, sleep issues, physical symptoms. Those are all shared by both depression and burnout. So you might recognize a very similar feel when you're dealing with it. And that's why it's so important for you to address it, because at the end of the day, here's the thing. Melissa and I can share all the advice and all the experience we have. We can get people up here sharing their experiences. But what are you going to do differently today to take care of yourself so that you can be there not only for yourself, but for those that need you? And it's up to you to make that change. So I just want to encourage you all to take what everyone's sharing in the comments up here on stage. And if any of you have an experience that you think might help somebody, and you're willing to be transparent enough and vulnerable enough to share, please come up on stage. I put the link in the comments. We would love to hear from you. So with that being said, let's move on to, well, Sharon, did you have any last comments before we move on to Gregory?
I just wanted to quickly say, Felipe, that I agree that you need to surround yourself with people that you can, you know, bounce things off of. And I have people like yourself in my tribe that I can do that, and Melissa as well. When I was saying about, trusting yourself and, listening to yourself, it's because sometimes when there's so much noise on the outside, whether it's from the news, from people who really care about you giving, suggestions and opinions. Yeah, what I wanted to say was listen to those opinions, but in the end, take all of the opinions and look at them, write them down if you need to, and then make your own educated decision based on that. Trust yourself in the sense of your life and exactly what's going on and how you're living it. So I certainly believe in having a tribe, but I also believe that you have to be the head of your tribe. Otherwise, you lose yourself. And that's what I wanted to add. So thank you for letting me add that.
No, thank you for saying that, because I think that was perfectly said. You have to be the head of your tribe, and that's the thing, is at least have that tribe, because if you only listen to yourself, you're never going to get another perspective. So I think, but you've got to make that final decision of what you're going to do, and you are the head of the tribe. So I love that you shared that. Thank you, because the people around us that care, they do care. Now, if they're trying to force you to do something, that's a little bit different. That's controlling. So with that being said, thank you again, Sharon. I'm going to carefully move you back into the green room, and we have some more people that want to join us here. But Gregory, you are next on stage, so please share your question or thoughts. The mic is yours.
Hey, Felipe, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing today, Gregory?
Good. How's the Queen of Washington State doing?
There is no Queen of Washington State. We don't have monarchies in this country.
But
thank you. I'm well.
That's a kind comment to you, Melissa.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm well. Thank you much, but you honor me too much. It feels unfitting at all. I'm just a girl. Think so. I'm good.
Okay. Gregory Liverpool, your neurodivergent protagonist, personality, HR talent. Will be quick and in and out quick in regards to your topic. Burnout could be the main causes of an understaffed workforce in your corresponding department. Therefore, people who are in hiring management type of responsibilities needs to hire more staff to basically troubleshoot the raging inferno of a burnout situation within your department. That is basically cut and clear HR 101 in terms of how to troubleshoot and solve a burnout situation with your employees, your department, and within your particular company du jour. It is basically, it can't be no clearer than that and stuff in that regard. So,
Gregory, I'm so happy you brought that up, because you're talking my language when you bring those kind of things up. And for anybody that's currently a financial representative in their company, or a CEO, a CFO, or in finance, or maybe you deal with somebody that you're always trying to get them to understand the value of the cost of taking care of an employees, and that it's valuable to the company, but they don't always hear you. Here's some things that can get through to them. And you can do some research on this. It's not hard to find out the financial cost of these, but they are significant. And when I say significant, I'm talking over hundreds of thousands of dollars for a staff of 50 or less. So these are some things that are going to financially impact a company if they don't address burnout. Okay. Increased turnover costs, which are usually about 2 to 2.5 times more likely to happen during burnout, and the cost of it are roughly between, depending on the job and the work they do, anywhere between 50 and 200% of their salary. That's how much turnover costs. Okay, it's going to reduce productivity and performance. It's going to increase healthcare costs. They're going to be going to the doctor, taking more medications, and guess what? That increases the premiums that the employer has to pay next year because so many people started using the insurance more and getting more medications, having more problems. It always results in more higher absenteeism, so less people are there to do the work, which impacts the service they provide, and it opens up for more errors and workplace risks. People aren't paying attention. They have accidents at work, which cost the company money, and their reputation and legal risks of a declining employee engagement and culture. People don't want to work there, so that's definitely going to hurt the reputation for customers and future employees, and the legal and compliance risks of them doing something that could end up causing somebody mental or physical harm. So that was another just list there that I'm just very passionate about. But when somebody says financially, this is not important, oh, throw me in the room because I will open their eyes up very quickly and they will see the financial impact of not taking care of your employees. All right. I was very passionate there, Houston. I'm going to hand it back to you.
I love it when you get fired up. But guys, I mean, turnover cost
Houston?
alone. Can you hear
Do we have
me?
a problem?
I think you have a problem. Could you guys hear me?
Yes, Melissa, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. So I think turnover costs are huge. And when you're talking to businesses,
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. I can hear you now.
you're breaking up, sir.
Yeah,
You're breaking up. Shh. It's you, not me. We have it confirmed. So turnover, high cost, right? But think about your team. Think about the kind of leader you want to be. I know we can push to our limits and do a great job. I have a great job team now, but we need
Who are
additional
you talking
staff.
to? Because you're talking about yourself, and I think
I don't know what you said, Felipe. I'm going to go on.
okay. Now, I can't. You're breaking up. I think unless it's me,
Felipe,
I think
it's
you're breaking
you.
up.
They told me they could hear me, and you're having technical issues.
Gregory, do you help us out here?
I could hear you, Felipe. I could hear you.
Okay.
Melissa, carry on.
Thank you. It puts a strain on your team when you just keep pushing forward. When they're giving 100% already, if you add another plate, right? So you got to be mindful, and how you approach things also matters, because if people are already kind of not feeling it and then you just keep hammering or asking for more or pushing back, it's going to affect the relationship over time. And so you got to just be mindful. What kind of leadership are you trying to give to your team? What kind of leaders are you creating, and what example are you setting in the way you move? I don't want anybody to feel overwhelmed. I always take the worst of the jobs to try to offset those heavier moments, right? Because if we're at burnout mode, or if I know I'm asking so much of my team that I need to hire somebody, but we're just not finding the right candidate yet, but we need them, and we're pushing, I'm not going to go ask them to scrub the toilets on a high stress day, right? If I'm capable of doing it, it's a small task. But for somebody else, it could be the very worst thing in the world for them. It is not the very worst thing in the world for me. So I will ask my team who wants to take what duties, and I will take the worst of the worst first. Like, I will do the bathrooms. And then they see that, oh, she's taking that one. Oh, I want to do this part. And guys, small shifts, even if you can't alleviate all pressures, realign people with their passions within the projects you have. And I think it can help offset quite a bit. Back to you, Felipe.
Very much so, because with this type of, and it will end in a result of a lot of more EAP requests, which are employee assistance plan requests for different types of services per se. So.
Okay, so I think we're having some technical difficulties. What I would say is thank you so much for your share, Gregory.
All right, is this
We're going to
better?
have you move down now. I think the bandwidth is a little bit hot today, so we're going to remove the people after they share, so it makes it easier. Thank you so much. Felipe, are you back?
Wait, let's.
We're definitely having issues.
Wait, Melissa, can you hear me?
No,
I'm
you're
trying
coming
to
in and
back,
out.
but you can't hear me.
Yeah. Christine, can you hear us okay? Christine. Okay, I don't know if it's me, guys. Can you just light up the comments till we figure this out? Keep us
All right,
alive.
can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, sir. How are you?
Okay, Lord. All right, and I could hear Gregory when you said you couldn't hear Gregory. So,
Oh man. But listen, this is the fun part of live streaming. This is what we go through. It's not perfect, but welcome back. Let's get back on track. This is Team Replay. We can always follow up conversations in the comments, guys. Don't let it go if it was important.
oh, I thought Aaron was saying I was broken. I'm like, I'm not broken. But my
Oh,
mic-
we've been having technical issues on both sides, I think.
No, it's just the way it's written. Felipe is slightly broken. I'm like, wow.
Christine, can you hear us? Christine,
You
are you
forgot
there?
to put Felipe's mic is slightly broken in there.
I don't know. Maybe he was accurate. Don't assume. Ask.
No, because everyone else's comments is referring to me cutting in and out.
I see Steve saying he could hear me clearly.
Yes, well, okay. It's not a contest, Houston. All right. Anyways, Christine, thank you. Oh, shush! I can mute you. You know that. Christine, thank you for being so patient. I appreciate you waiting. Please share your thoughts about this topic of burnout. The mic is yours.
You muted my mic. You muted my mic. God
I
damn.
don't know if he can hear you.
No, they muted my mic. Stop it. I can't get away from me.
Christine,
Christine, we can hear you. Christine, we
You
can
can
hear
hear me?
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were
Oh, it
saying
said
you muted
it
my
kept
mic.
saying the host muted the mic.
No, we heard you
Oh,
dropping bombs and upset. But
Oh,
they're here.
okay. I was like, what the heck? Nobody's answering me. Anyway, sorry. This is a very timely subject. And it looks like I just had another meltdown now, but I had a full-on meltdown at home yesterday. Because I do like my new role. It is a lot. Because part of what I need to do is support an outside sales team and on the West Coast, and then the entire inside renewal sales team. And I did communicate, not like that, to my new boss that I'm working all weekend, I'm working all night. I want to keep my job and everything, but it's absurd. So what he did do was he created a small team that would be available for 2 hours just to help people who just needed help, because I was just getting pinged constantly for people with questions or that needed assistance. And they were like, if I had 5 minutes on my calendar that was open, they were booking it. It was really nuts. And then there's different time zones. People were like calling me at 8 o'clock. I'm like, this is really it's not gonna work. So at least they're addressing that. But the part that I had the meltdown on is right now, my husband is unemployed. And he is one of these people, and there's a lot of people like this. And I put this in the comments. And you mentioned it, when you're a mom, whether you're a single mom or not, I think, Melissa, it depends on your partner. If you have one of these people that you do inside, I do outside, there's a lot more that goes on inside on a day-to-day basis. And between taking the kids to the orthodontist, and I handle a lot of the insurance and finances and stuff, and juggling all that, and just house cleaning, and the pressure of my job. And they were all laying around, my family, watching Leave It to Beaver or something. And I was cleaning my ass off and working. And I was like, what the hell? And I went about it the wrong way, but I had a full-on meltdown. And then I called my mother, who I'm not even that close to. And I said, can I come there for like 2 weeks? And she just heard it in my voice. And she was like, Absolutely. So I think I hit a wall, and I couldn't. I feel like I can't take it anymore, and I feel like I lost my light and my joy. So I do think there's a lot of overlaps with the depression and the. I totally think what I'm experiencing is burnout, though, and they'll all live. If I and my sister too was like, if mommy drives you crazy, just come to my house. My son is. My oldest son's away at college. Just hang out here. And the good news about my job is it's remote and I can do it from anywhere. But I apologize for you having to hear all that before. But anyway, that's it. I'll land it there.
All we heard, Christine, was you saying, my mic's muted, my mic's muted. And we're like, no, it's not. So, yeah, no, I tend to mute the people's mics when they bring them on stage because I want the previous person to be able to finish. That's all. And then I unmute you when it's your turn. But, Christine, first of all, that we are so empathetic to your situation because you are always taking on so much, and you're so helpful to everyone. You're always trying to be there for everybody, and I applaud you for going out there and taking that break that you needed. Obviously, you were at a breaking point and you needed that break, and that's important that you recognize that. What I hope that you got from some of the stuff today, if you came late, you can go back and watch the replay, is now that you've gotten to that point, how can you recognize these signs and what can change with them so that you don't have to get to the point where I need a 2-week break and get out of this house? It might be, hey, you know what? I need an afternoon break. I'm going to go hang out with somebody for the afternoon. And that's all you need, because doing 2 weeks, I gotta imagine it's disruptive for them, but also for you too. And so is that sustainable for you to constantly get yourself to that point of such stress that you have to get out of the house, versus finding those micro moments where you can release that stress, say, you know what? Nope, this is my boundary. This is my time. I'm not going to be available for you, whether you call me, whether it's the kids, the husband, whatever. You need that time. And that time might only be a half an hour, but you deserve it. And that is how you can get through those moments and be there a lot happier, hopefully. Because at some point, you've got to realize you can't take on everything, and it's not your job to solve everyone's problems. But I applaud you for being such a kind and a wonderful person, because I know you do it because you care. Houston, what are your thoughts?
Christine, you are a rock star because you keep just figuring out how to do it for you. And I know it shifts, and I know it's not always easy, and you help others for you too. I know that fills your cup as much as it does mine. But I think good boundaries. And sometimes, guys, it is 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. It depends on the why. I always wonder, like the who, what, where, when, whys. Why do you have that schedule? Sometimes it's because the college swings, right? Every 2 weeks, there's a major project due. In between those 2 weeks, there's not, or whatever. So it's a cycle of 30 days. Maybe you have every quarter, there's this 1 month where inventory is coming, or some major assessments due, or some kind of project is coming down the pipeline. That could be another reason you have that cycle. But if it's just like a habit, not a planned cycle, not something you can actually strategize and see a timeline for, or see a funnel for, figure out the who, what, where, when, whys, right? Why does it happen this way? What is it that leads to it? Where is that first step that gets me up this staircase? Because once you visualize the processes that get you there, good or bad, you can figure out how to go from high school to the NFL. You can be a janitor to CEO, right? You can be a stay-at-home entity, person, human with children, who then becomes the CEO of an organization of your choosing, right? That's your business. And so it's up to you to figure it out. But look at your cycles. I love journals and planners because I never throw them out. I keep them in a drawer because you learn a lot about yourself if you look back. On this day has been a visual stimulus, and give me comments in the comment section if you use these too, but where they just kind of spit this day back at you. And I start to see habits. I saw a habit of every Father's Day being an education day for our children. We would go to museums. We would go do hands-on experiences where they learn something fun or new. Some memory that really they could sink their teeth into. That's a great habit. But if you look at maybe some of the pitfalls, we always fight at this time. Maybe it's right before the holidays, right when finances are tighter, and we know it's coming every year, but somehow we don't save to prevent the argument in November. Figure that out, right? You got to look sometimes long scope, long term, long life you live. And so learn who you are, keep repeating the assessments, check out different things you do, because that's when you get very mindful about how you behave and who you really are and what makes you motivated and what demotivates you. And when you can assess that stuff, you can shift away from a ton. So, Christine, thank you so much for your transparency. I would say keep doing it, right? Keep assessing, but if you need help, you always show up, and I appreciate that. Felipe, back to you.
Thank you. And Christine, I echo everything that Melissa said, and the reality is that when you mention times a year, that's another thing that we got to mentally prepare for. There are people that I know that mentally are they almost shut down during the holidays. Some because they just are bitter people, I know. And then other people have reasons that they had a loved one they lost during the holidays, and it's just a hard time for them. And if they try to do too much during that time, those are times where you need to, our work pulls on us so much sometimes, and we have to make work a priority. But when our mental health is screaming, saying, okay, this time of year I need you to make me a priority, you got to listen to it. You got to listen to it. So I love that you mentioned that time of year matters. Christine, thank you again for joining us. Any last thoughts before we move you back to the green room?
Yeah, just one. I did get here in the beginning, and I agree with Melissa that it was a lot. So hashtag team replay. I will be, going back and looking at it, and I do think I usually this just snuck up on me. I usually can tell, and I've had friends say, "Girl, slow down. This is like too much." Blah blah blah. I've had people give me those warnings, and I don't want things to come to a head, because then I don't express myself properly either. I just that's not what I want to do either. But that's it. So thanks for holding the space.
Thank you, Christine. And again, one thing to remember for any of you who may have joined late, the graphics that I shared with the 5 scenarios, not all 5 is going to apply to you. That was the reason for those scenarios, and why it seemed like a lot was because some are for you if you aren't in burnout. Some are for you if you think you might be getting signs of it and you want to recognize them, and some are for you're in full blown burnout and you don't realize it. And the other was what to do if you are burnt out. So don't get overwhelmed with the information. Only 1 or 2 of those slides might actually apply to you directly. And hopefully, if it does and you would like more information, let me know. I'm happy to share. So Christine, thank you again for joining us. It's always great to see you here. Oh, we got a bunch of people in the green room. I just realized. Okay, so let's bring the stage up here.
And Felipe, if you want to kill the comments and bring them back, it might refresh the feed a bit.
Okay. Which is funny, I put in there that the comment section is delayed, and when I typed it, it showed up right away. So I don't know if they're listening to us or what, but let's turn off the overlay. All right.
And welcome, guys.
So great to see everyone here on stage. I'm going to mute everyone just so that we can have each person have their time. And with that being said, Azad, my friend, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've heard you. And
Hi, Felipe. Hi, Melissa. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I really got to say you both have done a good job with this topic. And Felipe, I really gotta thank you for the 2 years ago when we had a conversation. I'm from UK, guys, and I had a bit of a situation where I didn't know what I wanted to do or burnout aspects. So when I met Felipe, I came across, I think it was a post about something. I don't know what it was. Someone had posted it, and I had a network, and I followed. And so, okay, let me go onto it. What I realized is that with the balancing, as with what you're saying, burnout, it's really difficult to understand how to balance it. But at the same time, what it really does is that once you know the right people to go to, or the right thoughts you have, and you connect with the right individuals, or going just to like these kind of conferences, yours, anyone else, it really does make a big difference to understand how you can utilize energy. And it's something that helps you find mechanisms, but it helps you expose yourself to what you can balance and reflect on as well. It's really interesting. It is. And can you hear me first of all?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's one thing I would definitely say, and it's really helped me. So since that last time you told me about reflection, I remember you told me this 2 years ago. You got to reflect sometimes what's happening and just take a pause, Felipe. And then you did this, and I was like, "What do you mean?" When you explained a bit more and how to use the mechanisms or balance that retention level of information, it allowed further growth in what more you can see in front of you. Because what would happen is I would always go beyond it, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking what's in front of me. But when I start going backwards a bit and pause, then I realize that okay, I just need to take a step at a time. And it really did make it better to understand what works and what doesn't work, and which basically helps the burnout success, which is really tough to understand.
So thank you for sharing that. And I remember that conversation vividly because I remember being in my office, my old office, sitting in that chair, and I just really enjoyed our conversation. It was really just and it was on a video conversation.
Yeah, it was. It was.
And so I remember that vividly. And I'm so glad you brought that up because that stepping back and looking at stuff sometimes it's like getting sometimes people say, oh, you're just looking at it from a 10,000 point view.
Hmm.
Sometimes we need to step back and look at it at 10,000 point view and really look at what is important here because we get so ingrained into one thing and it overwhelms us. And we realize, okay, sometimes we need to step back and find that balance between what's important, what needs to get
Hmm.
done, and also find that moment of fun, passion.
It's true. It's something that you basically install in short. This was February 23rd, 2023. Exactly 2 years from now.
It,
So
it,
literally today's timing, go back 2 years.
it's I can just tell you how much it means to me that the fact that you remember that and that it was even that it was helpful for you because
Hmm.
I appreciate you so much and I'm so happy that it was of some help to you because that's our ultimate goal is just really to provide any kind of assistance we can from our experiences as well as having all of you all share your experiences. And Azad, you bring that back up here is such an important point that we had not discussed yet, so
Hmm.
I appreciate you bring that up.
No, I appreciate it as well. It's something that I was in a position where I did not know what I wanted to do or how to go about it. I just did not have a clear understanding. And it's something that I was always looking to see how am I supposed to build this aspects and change this or do this. But exactly with what you're saying, that influence on the situation not only allowed it to prioritize it, I guess it could not burn out because you didn't know what to do, what I had to do. But then it allowed me to further understand now. Going backwards now, I'm really happy I came across that network to coming across this page to help me to understand now. And that really has helped it's become more of what's the word? It's become like it's finding that relevance and finding the piece that you're good with, but utilizing it in a way that can help you reflect day by day. So taking that one step at a time. It did make a big difference. I will say that much. It did. And it's until now I'm still using it and it helps.
It
And it's
sounds like
getting better and better. And it's keep connecting with more people. And I'm thinking, okay, this is fun now.
I love it. And I love that you're using it in your personal, professional life for everything from mental health to career health. And I applaud you for making it a life tool. So, Melissa, your thoughts about Aziz's share?
I have to remind you guys, Felipe and I don't pre plan the show in a way that we don't even sit down and talk about what we're going to share for our share. We have no idea what the other person's going to say until 2 minutes before the show. We get an idea. And so I just want to bring back the fact that this is the anniversary. It was on this day. My share right before he came to the stage was the reflection point. This is what I was talking about. And I just want to say when I hear confirmation come up naturally, this is not planned. I'm hoping you guys hear it too. This is a message. Not is it just a lesson, but it's in action, already planted years before. And this is the anniversary of it. And it all came together naturally to display it for you. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you so much for coming. I would love to connect. We don't know each other yet. So please feel free to
No,
share.
for sure.
Do
I
that.
will, for sure. The only one thing I would love to share is that it's one thing that you really both have done is that you've built it, which I gotta respect you both for. I really do. It's not every day you'll come across conferences or career aspects or coaching aspects to understand more. And it's this really does help. I used to be very conscious of going on to a speak on stage. Now it's become a situation. It's more enjoying now, and I'm thinking, okay, now I need to find more, and what more can I do? It's just really good. I love it, honestly. It does help.
And I gotta say, hearing the confidence and the passion in your voice, Zad, is just so it's so inspiring and so exciting. I'm so excited for you. So
Thanks
thank
again,
you,
Felipe.
and don't be such a stranger. Keep on coming around, and
Yeah,
I'll
it's
talk
just
to
the
you again.
timing.
No, of course, of course.
It's the timings. When I see there was 2, 3, I think, before I wanted to join. I was like, oh god, this is AM, and how am I gonna go by this one? And I was like, oh man, I
Well,
just wish one time was in every country, every location at one specific time. It would match perfectly. That would be so much heaven, but I don't think that would happen. But
well,
but yeah, I will definitely be. This one popped out. I said, no, I have to join this one for sure. I have to. And I didn't realize until today. I looked in the message, like, hold on a second, 23rd of February. This was 2 years ago. I had connected, and I was like, wow, okay.
that's so wild. Well, happy anniversary, and I look
Thanks again.
forward to many more years. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna put you in the green room
Yeah,
here.
sure. Go for it.
All right.
Thanks again.
And we have another guest as well, but let me bring that up. And then I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker, my wonderful friend from Social Saturday Chat, Martha. How are you, Martha? Please introduce yourself and share your thoughts on this topic. The mic is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Melissa and Felipe. What a great conversation. I've been listening the entire time. I can so resonate with all the shares, even in the comments. Kim wrote a comment that completely resonated. And also, Melissa, you just shared something too that had me thinking here. I actually went through a difficult stage not too long ago, a few months ago. I took time off of LinkedIn. I moved, and there was just a lot going on. That burnout, depression, and anxiety hit me all at once. And I found myself in a really dark place where I isolated myself from everybody. Um, and for many reasons, I felt powerless. And during that process, I had a community here, you, Melissa, Felipe, and several other wonderful friends that reached out and made sure, to stay on top of things. Just kept checking up on me. And I want to just tell you both, thank you so much. And many of my other friends here on LinkedIn that have been a support system to me. With that, I want to also share, as many of y'all know, I do work with our community members, and I have to be okay to be able to serve them. So I took about 2 months off. I spent a lot of time at the beach. I also sought mental health support to help me, help me figure things out as I move through, because it's almost like once we go through it, it will happen again. So how do we move past that? And I moved past that because I spoke about it. I didn't just stay in there too long, because sometimes when you stay down, it's really hard to get back up. And as you try, it feels like you have the flu, like the mental health flu, that it just takes time. So burnout for me is now setting up boundaries, also scheduling visits with people that can uplift me up in many ways, because we all need that. The world around us is negative in many ways. And so finding that peace that you can go to, whether it's going to the gym or going to the beach, just surrounding yourself with the right people. So just wanted to share that. And I wish I could give you guys all a hug. LinkedIn community is seriously the best place, the best home, and the best family. So thank you all so much.
Well, thank you, Martha, and a big, huge hug back to you, mi amiga. And I admire you so much for just how strong you are, how vulnerable you are and transparent in your journey, and how smart you've been about taking those breaks. I remember you taking that break and being on the beach and moving, and it was something that, and I'm sure that your dog was a big part of that journey as well, because I think our loved ones, whether they're people or our pets, they help us get through the journey sometimes more than we realize. But you practice so many of the things, and you shared so many of the things that we talked about to help you get through that. And you said how tough it was and how much you battled, but you're back, and I feel like you're back stronger and more committed than ever. And I think that you're just a testament, an example for so many people out there that are maybe in the middle of it right now, that can see that, okay, there are people that care. I just need to reach out. There are times I need to take care of myself, and it's okay to do that. And there's times where I have to remember that it's okay to feel like it's too much, but it will pass. And you gotta do things to help you get through that difficult time. So I really do appreciate how strong you've been. And Houston, what are your thoughts about her incredible share?
Oh, Martha already knows I'm one of her biggest fans. We don't talk about it in public because we don't talk about Fight Club, but no, I'm just kidding. Martha's mission is important. My mom was homeless on the street for 3 years. And I couldn't help in spite of wanting to, because I was also trying to figure out how to thrive at that time. It was hard. And so people like Martha were the gap fillers until my mom could figure it out for herself. But here we are. If you guys have watched Martha, and I know you do because you're following her, she has a few friends here, right? She hangs out with Felipe Social Saturday. If you're not following, follow. But my point is many of you probably look at her as your helper, the one you're looking at, listening to, going, wow, she's so insightful. Her perspective, great. I want to be like her. I want to, do what she's doing, or get passionate about my passion because of her passion. And sometimes she needs help. And she gave you excellent ways she sought help. She reached out to her network when it wasn't sufficient, when she still felt like there was more there. She went to doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, whatever it is, right? Fill in the blank for yourself, guys. There's helpers out there. But she didn't do it alone. She does need to be poured into also. We're all humans. This is a human experience that everybody will feel. And so when you're feeling it, tell us, right? The squeaky wheel, we hear that people say, you get oiled if you're squeaky. Well, yeah, that's true. If the kids say they're hungry, I will feed them. That's kind of how it works. If my friends hear, hey, I'm having a rough day, and I'm telling them, they'll be there, right? And Martha, I'm so glad I was on the list when you're like, hey, it hasn't been so great. Thanks for reaching out. I'm glad you were transparent. I'm glad you're still doing that, because helpers help when you tell us you need it. And the people who look up to you will maybe emulate that in their own life. And it will start that ripple of just being honest, guys. When too much is too much, we can say so before it gets there and we explode. You don't have to be the shaken soda bottle to do it. Just say it early. Watch for signs, right? This is exactly what we're talking about. And I love you so much. And thank you for your share.
All right. Any last comments before I move you to the green room?
I love you all so much. Just a quick last share. I have a sibling who was in the hospital recently, and she's very private, doesn't like to ask for help. And while she was going through surgery, her husband said, oh, my family's reaching out, asking if we need anything. And I said, no. And I shared, well, why did you say no? He's like, well, me and my wife, we always say no. But yet they're there for everybody else. So if somebody reaches out in your time, whatever it is, please say yes. Please say yes to help. Please, please, please say yes. There's a reason why people offer help. And I just say yes. That's my only advice. Please say yes. And if you don't know how to ask for help, please reach out. We're here. All of us are here to support one another. Thank you all so much. And love you all and happy Sunday.
So wait, Martha, before you go, if you had to take just one word that prevents people from wanting to accept help, what would one word be, you think?
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
If there's one word that would describe why people don't want to accept the help, what's the one word that comes to mind?
Pride.
Okay. And I'm so glad you said that, because if anyone ever has learned or studied about the 7 deadly sins, pride is one of them. So if you're letting your pride prevent you from getting help, realize that pride's not a good quality necessarily. It's not looked at, it's not one of the best qualities. There's a lot of, Google the meaning of the word pride and really study the word of it, the meaning of it, because being proud and pride can get in the way of doing what's important for you and for others. And I think it's important for us to remember what Martha said, is if someone accepts or offers help, if you need it, don't let a foolish reason stop you from accepting it. So thank you for all the work you do with the unhoused, Martha. I appreciate you. I don't care how many people are out there. You're making an impact one person at a time, and that's more than a lot of other people are doing.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to carefully move you into the green room. Don't trip as you go into the room, please. And we don't have workers' comp insurance here. So with that being said, let's move on to our next guest. Jen, a new friend, or not a new friend, but someone I just spoke to recently in a room. It's great to see you. I'm glad you came today. Please share your thoughts and insights on this topic, because I know you have some good experience in this area. Over to you.
Hi, and I want to start by really thanking the both of you, because as someone who does work with burnout, I get very tired of a lot of social media posts that are like, oh, it's all about massages and manicures to heal burnout, which is, very superficial and doesn't touch the root cause. So I really appreciate what you've both shared today, which are like really, really solid, action items that people can do something about. And so part of what I'm going to share, a very vulnerable share that touches on some of what you've talked about, and also brings up a piece that a lot of times we don't like to talk about with burnout. And, earlier, Melissa, especially, you were talking about how, it's not always our paid work that really leads to burnout. And years ago, during the Great Recession, I had started a business. I wasn't making enough, so I was working in a restaurant because, the economy was crumbling, and I wasn't making enough there. And so I started working at another retail business. And so I'm working 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet. And, each one of those is like, seriously going downhill because the economy was just collapsing. And during the same time, my now ex and I had bought a house, and my ex was having back problems. So they were working less and less and getting crabby because I wasn't home to take care of them because I was trying to work 3 jobs. And then, just to make life more interesting, my mom had retired and moved back to Colorado and, to live closer to me. And she gets diagnosed with late stage cancer. And, it all culminated in all the businesses going under, everything. Anyone who was working during that time remembers it was not a pleasant time. And so my burnout experience, I didn't recognize it until I wasn't actually working. Like, I was not getting paid to work. I was completely unemployed, and I was actually updating my unemployment claim, and I hit submit, and that's where I hit the wall. That's where I was just like, I'm done. I can't do anymore. I'm just done. And that helped me see that burnout is not just work related. It's everything we do in our life that is also work, which is caring for, sick parents, sick partners, and also everything else around us. Now, I think it's really important for people to understand that. But at that point in my life, I wasn't really healthy. I hadn't dealt with my personal trauma. And so with that, my way of dealing with burnout was I hit the bottle hard. And I also delved back into anorexia. And so these are other things that we don't like to talk about, but when we're looking at burnout, if you're suddenly eating more or less than you used to eat, if you're drinking, using drugs, doing all of these things, these are obvious signs. But also we have, are you playing video games or games on your phone a lot more often? Are you on social media constantly avoiding life? These are some other really unhealthy coping skills that we don't always look at when we're looking for signs of burnout. For me, it took really going to therapy and really dealing with my childhood and adulthood trauma to kick addiction, and deal with all of that. And then, fast forward a couple years, I'm working at a trauma recovery center, working with people with trauma and addiction. And I felt that slow, familiar creep of burnout. And that's where I dove into the research because I asked fellow therapists, what do you do about this? Because I also lived on site at the trauma center. And everyone warned me about burnout, but I was like, what do you do to prevent it? And they're like, And I'm like, wow, if therapists can't even tell me what to do, this is a problem. And so I dove into the research, and it makes me happy to hear more and more people like you also talking about these solid things that we can do. And, also looking at, sometimes we need therapy. Sometimes we need a coach. Sometimes we need a doctor. There's a lot of we need to reach out and get the support we need for our unique situation.
Jen, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you sharing all that. And thank you for the kind words that you shared at the beginning. I really do appreciate that because you obviously deal with this on a regular basis and a professional level. So your validation is very meaningful. And I gotta say, just first of all, sharing your story, I want to make sure that everyone understands and that there's when we talk about burnout, and I maybe I'm making a really obvious assumption here or obvious comment here, but obviously we're talking about mental burnout. Physical burnout is completely different, and your body can physically burn out from being overdone, but this is a mental thing. And to your point about not working and being employed, and that's when your burnt out hit, that resonated with me because I think your mind's been going nonstop, worrying about taking care of your mother and dealing with unhealthy eating or with alcohol. There's so much that someone can take on at one time, and when that happens, it ends up being overwhelming for people, and they end up having just some kind of hit the wall moment, like you said. And so I think that dealing with it in a healthy way is obviously ideal. Getting therapy, like you said, is great because most people, and I hope those that are listening hear this part, most people that are avoiding it do that by, like you said, distracting themselves by watching TV, sleeping, playing games, always keeping themselves so busy that they don't have time to think about it. And if you are doing that, you're distracting yourself from what you should be really doing or focusing on. And I think that's something that is so important because burnout does not discriminate. It doesn't care how rich you are, how young you are, it doesn't care where you live, what you kind of work you do. It can affect anyone. And the ones that I worry about the most sometimes are the ones that are doing work that's for other people, meaning that they are so caring and giving, like people that do nonprofit work. My eyes was opened up a couple of years ago big time to this because these people are doing such meaningful work and they believe in it so much that they're willing to sacrifice their time, their sleep sometimes to get the work done because it's so important. It's not just a report they need to get done because it's at the bank or it's at the office. This could help impact someone's life. So also people that deal in the medical field, a lot of burnout. So it's something that we have to find ways to address it and help people because sometimes the environment and the job and your own work ethic causes us to get right into that recipe for that horrible cocktail that is called burnout. So, Houston, your thoughts?
Oh man, I love your share so much. We need to connect as well, please. I love that it ties back because early on the show, I shared some quotes and they might not have all overlapped right away for you guys, but here it is. Victory and victim both start out the same. It's up to you how it ends. Was me being burnt out. I was a 16-year-old caregiver. I was homeless. I took the role on so I could stop being homeless because I was tired of couch surfing and begging off my friends for somewhere to be. My mom was not in a position to assist. All of the resources that were supposed to be available to me, services that the government had, were blind to what was happening. The people that weren't supposed to be around me would be hidden before CPS would show up, as an example. Not to trauma dump, guys, but this is a trigger at 16. And so I got to be mindful of, I want to have you be mindful of how we assess other people's weight of what they're carrying. If you look at somebody young, maybe who's 16 and seems frazzled, don't dismiss it as, oh man, wait till you're a grown up, because some of them already are. And so just be mindful, be willing to ask the who, what, where, when, whys. I love that a symptom could be games, right? You can go into Candy Crush for hours and forget life. But I also use Wordle every day in the New York Times one time to go test my brain power. I play the LinkedIn games for the same reason. It doesn't mean it's an escape mechanism. It's a growth mechanism. So it says why you're doing your actions. Just because one person uses it to run doesn't mean that's what you're doing, but be mindful, right? Always documenting, then acting, then looking at what you did, rinse, repeat, the good stuff. I just love this conversation, Felipe. I could go on a long time. I know I want to be mindful of people's time, but thank you so much for your share and what you brought to the table and for your assessment of our show.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up because those games can be that mental relief break that you're taking so you don't get burnt out. So it's just like anything else. If you're abusing anything to avoid something or distract you, that should be a red flag that should be going off saying, I'm not doing this for the right reasons. If you're playing the games and it's like been 5 hours, you might be just trying to distract yourself. So, Jen, very quickly before I move you to the green room, any last comments?
I think, thank you for clarifying my point of, yeah, I love Lumosity and things like that to just kind of stimulate my brain a little bit in a different way. It is when that is your full escape mechanism and you're escaping rather than confronting and making the changes that are necessary. So thank you both.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to carefully move you to the green room. So be careful. Don't trip while you walk into the room there. And then, ladies and gentlemen, may I now introduce to you someone who has been very special to us, who's got talents that just dazzle you with the sound of his voice, his artistic talent of doing video intros.
What in the world?
I would love for him to do, and his Friday night shows. The one,
you have reached the
only
butter up section
Aaron Gibson
of the show.
Holy sweet Mary, Mother of Pearl. Thank you, Felipe. Oh, I'm over. That's, you've humbled. Yeah, I'm very humbled. Won't take up long because I know that we're at the end of the hour, and you know that when I come up here, it's generally not to talk a whole lot about me, but to, of course, selflessly plug you two and make sure that everybody out there is connecting with Melissa Ann Houston and Felipe and getting in touch with their YouTube channel. The links have been posted in the comments. But of course, it's not about this little moment of celebrating you two and the fantastic coaching that you guys provide and do these audio rooms. I can't always go without posing a question to our two fantastic hosts every time that I'm up here, which is, if we had an opportunity to speak to someone out there right now that's listening, what is your own personal perspectives on how you overcome that guilty feeling when you're trying to provide healthy balance within your world? Yes, we know that we need this balance. We know that we need to kind of put things in segment and have the right people around us. But there's always that little bit of looming doubt that we have in the back of our minds, which is, am I being guilty by taking this time for myself? How do you two overcome that?
Well, I just tell my kids, bug off, leave dad alone. I don't have time for you, and it usually works pretty well. No, so honestly, that is a real issue. That is and let me just tell y'all, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school for like 18 years, y'all. So Catholic guilt, boy, me and Catholic guilt have a great relationship. But here's the thing. I started realizing, and I hate to use this analogy because it's a good analogy, is that damn put your mask on yourself before your child in the airplane scenario. I want to be the best version of myself for people. And I realized that growing up, I used to think my dad was selfish when he came from work and he'd sit down, he'd have a cocktail, put his feet up for like 15, 20 minutes. And after those 15, 20 minutes, he'd be like, hey, what's up? How's your day? And this and that. But don't bother him the first 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, what is the big deal? Why is he being so selfish? It took me a long time to realize he wasn't being selfish. He was setting a boundary. He had been working all day long. He'd been in traffic all day. He just got home to his family, and he wanted to be able to enjoy it with them. So he just wanted a moment just to collect his thoughts, take a breath, relax, and then be there for them. And it's one of those things where that had to be hard for him because we used to get mad at him, but he didn't stop. He knew that he would probably be more irritable if he didn't do that for himself. So I adopted that myself, but I also realized that when little kids who don't understand, sometimes you have to make sacrifices. And that's, those are the ones that are needed. Your elderly parent, okay, you might have to make a sacrifice. But if it's a friend, an adult child, a spouse, a loved one, just communicate. Hey, you know what? I'm not in the best place right now. I need like a half hour break so that I can really be 100%. Can you just give me a half hour and I'll be right there with you? Or can you give me till tomorrow? And when I communicate, and people sometimes don't like to be that vulnerable to say they need that, but that's the biggest hiccup in my opinion, is people be able to say, I'm sorry, I need a break. Can I get a break and can we do this tomorrow? So that's my thoughts. Houston, what about you?
Oh my gosh, I could go on a whole tangent, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be as on topic as I could. Guys, I Venn diagram it all. So 2 things. First, faith. You spoke about Catholic guilt. And actually, my very first example of a good boundary of the kids not being prioritized was by my faith leaders in my Bible study. A nurse and an engineer, respectively, very busy Bible study leaders, very active in the church, prominent in their community, do a lot of things. Their kids are very active. It's a lot. Once a week, they ditch the kids and go on a date, non-negotiable. In the Bible, it says God, spouse, the rest. So if you need to put your guilt down, use that first. And then on the other side, guys, Venn diagram, I really brought that up because Erin is an example of somebody who received this yesterday, and I had no guilt in laying it down. And so I'm so grateful for this because it also is an example that I didn't expect. But Aaron sent me some videos. He was sending me messages. I was too busy throughout the day to read them all, to touch them. I was a busy girl. My brain was full, so full that I forgot my phone, which meant I didn't get to them last night either. But I was sitting here and I told Aaron, hey, sorry, we'll visit thee soon. My brain was full. No guilt, because my other thing is I won't say it to you unless I will allow you to say it to me and receive it. So I asked myself, if Aaron said, hey, I'm too busy to have watched this today, sorry, I'll watch it later, would I receive that? Okay, of course I would, because I'm a human who respects other humans' time, right? And so just try to filter that way is the way I would try to wrap that up. Is those are the 2 things I use. Number 1, God gave me the ability to make him first. He's always my priority. All right, bye guys. I don't know what happened.
I'm sorry. I was hitting the wrong button. My bad.
My gosh, I felt like, thanks for my award. It's been great.
I was playing the music to get you off the
Hey,
stage.
I've
Sorry.
never had an Oscars-like
And the Oscar
experience,
goes to.
and here we are. No, but honestly, guys, just use your own tools, right? You have to set your boundaries. What can you live with? Use your moral compass, use your faith system, but don't go beyond what you can live with every day. And if I can't say it to your face, I won't say it out loud, not even to somebody else. And so that's something else to take with you is, will you say it out loud to everybody? If not, maybe process what you're thinking before you do. And then burnout won't be so hard when it hits, because you won't say to HR, F you, HR guy, I'm out of here. You're going to say, hey, listen, I need to take a personal day because I'm not mentally prepared to have this conversation, right? There's a value there. So that's my share, Felipe. Thank you.
Aaron, hopefully that answered your question a little bit, but any final thoughts?
No, you guys always are rock stars, and I just have to celebrate you every time I can. So make sure you're connecting, check out their YouTube channels, subscribe, like, all that good jazz, and make sure you're connecting with each other on LinkedIn here too. Other than that, keep it luminous and kind.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, be careful as I put you in the green room. Don't trip. I know you did last time. Don't hurt yourself. No. So, anyways, listen, everyone. I hope people got some value out of today's discussion, because it is something that Melissa and I take very seriously. We both had our own experiences. We want you all to learn from what we've learned and make sure that you don't repeat the mistakes that we made. And if you're dealing with it right now, talk to a friend, talk to a professional, talk to whoever you need, but do something, because the worst thing you can do right now is do nothing at all. Ignoring it is not going to help. And obviously, I know that, Jen, you mentioned about being unemployed. There's a lot of people right now that are feeling like, oh, well, I'm not working. How can I be burnt out? Jen told you right there and then, burnout can hit you because you've mentally been overthinking everything and you've been stressing out about work. And then also now you're unemployed. Now you're worried about money and bills. It's a lot. Okay. But I just want to remind everybody, and I posted this yesterday, but I just want everybody that you got this. You all have skills that you can transfer to other companies, other industries, other jobs that they would be lucky to have. And you are not your job. You are so much more than your job and your paycheck. So you all please remember that. And remember that there are people out there that love and care about you. There are people that would appreciate and value the skills and the insights and the experience that you bring. And there are people out there willing to help. All you got to do is ask. So with that being said, Houston, as we wrap up here, any final thoughts you have about today? Anything you have coming up?
Oh man. So the Emotional Women, guys, we have that company page that's going to start gaining some momentum. Jackie and I are going to be talking about emotional experiences, how to tackle them, right? Being overwhelmed is an emotion, believe it or not, and it can create many others. There's a ripple there. So follow the page if you haven't. Jackie as well, Jackie Hallberg, I'm sure you guys know her, but she's one of our helpers. She's a great human in the community. So I'm going to be working with her a lot on that coming up. I have my coffee chats with Melissa on Saturday morning, 6 a.m. Pacific. Most weeks. Last week, like I said, I took a break. Yesterday, I took a break because I was exhausted and I needed a rest. But I'm coming back next week. I'm going to be covering the first book we did in the trilogy with Nicole, our publisher. I'm going to read my chapter about my experience here on the platform and what that looked like. And so I hope you guys tune in. We'll be covering that. And then I'm going to start having my guest host soon. So working out the kinks, Felipe. I'm trying to figure out this whole thing, like, the Oscar music during my conversation. I keep forgetting to add myself to the stage or unmuting for the first 2 minutes of the show, because when I come in, I mute myself also playing the video. And so I'm going to learn a little bit more of that. Buy a car or motorcycle with a husband today. And then work stuff, just inventory and trying to figure out what's next. But guys, if I could share anything, be a helper, find a helper, right? Mr. Rogers gets all the credit for that. But that's my version of it for the week. If you're stressed out, if you're feeling any of the symptoms, if you're assessing yourself during the show going, oh yeah, I'm feeling a lot of the stuff on that list Felipe shared, or a lot of this stuff in the conversations shared, reach out, get help. We are here to help. It doesn't have to be a paid coaching call for you to DM us. right? We can help you find some resources available to you without any fee. If you want some paid coaching, we both offer services. Go check us out. Go figure it out. And if you like the show, share it. I think it's really important. If you want to go to YouTube, Felipe sharing the stuff, it's in the comments too. Go follow our channels, right? We're both trying to grow there. I did ask a few questions in the comments that never made it to the screen because LinkedIn hates me, Restream, whatever it is. They don't overlap with Melissa Houston's comments. But I did ask you guys about your own experiences. So go find those questions, maybe share it for people who will show up late. It would be really nice for them to revisit some of this content with your perspective of what you took away. So please be willing to do that. And then Felipe, what about you? What do you got going on this week?
So this week, I have a lot of work to do in the office, but besides that, obviously, I'm doing another LinkedIn workshop for a group of people. So if you're somebody that is looking for someone to do LinkedIn workshops for your team, or if you're looking for one-on-one or career coaching, feel free to reach out to me. But if you just have a question, you should need to bounce an idea off of me, send me a DM, especially if you're listening to this live. And as always, I do have our Social Saturday chat event that happens every Saturday, and you can check out our YouTube, our podcast on your favorite podcast, where it's Spotify or Apple. And check out our past episodes, but it's every Saturday at 12 noon. And then I do have the Workplace Wellness Hour a week from this Monday with Sumana Jetty and Ashley Fluellen. And if you want to see some of those, you can go to my YouTube page. And that's where I have playlists for the Workplace Wellness Hour, Social Saturday Chat, Felipe's 5, and of course, especially Careers, Chaos, and Coaching. So you can definitely check that out. And I'm just trying to get my YouTube subscribers up a little bit. Like I said, I'm got a pitiful little 58, I think, right now. So just trying to increase it and just trying to get some of the stuff that we share available to people out there and get that information more available. So anything y'all can do to help me increase that, it's always appreciated. And people have been asking, how else can we thank you? If you really want to, you can always buy us a cup of coffee. And Melissa, I'm storing this up for the day that you come to DC, and I will take you to a very good coffee shop, not just Starbucks. I'll take you to an exceptional coffee shop, and we'll have some great food and some great coffee. But other than that, I just want to thank everyone. Thank you all for supporting us. Thank you all for joining us and sharing your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Thank you for those who came up on stage and shared your stories. It's helping so many other people. And I just want to say thank you, because I know that people reach out to me and tell me that, oh, what Martha shared was really helpful. What Jen shared, I could really relate to, and it made me feel not alone. Those are two comments I actually got separately about those two individuals. And Jenny Gold, it's great to see you there. And Jay, I'm sorry, I know it's late. I saw you were trying to come up just now. I apologize, but it is the end of the show. But we do appreciate all of you all, and we do hope you come back in 2 weeks. We are open for topic suggestions, so send Melissa or I a DM with your topic suggestions that you'd like us to cover. We'd love to cover topics that you want us to cover because we feel like they're more relevant. But if not, we will keep on choosing topics that we feel people are dealing with out there today, so that you can have some relevant information that hopefully can help you or somebody you love. So, as always, I always like to remind people, please, and if you want, then what I'm about to say is my little mantra that I say to myself. I put it in my post I did yesterday, the one I just showed you about, you got this, is remember to be confident in what you do know and the skills you have. Be curious about the things that you don't know. Be grateful for what you have. Be compassionate to yourself. And be tenacious in hell, because you got this. With that being said, Houston, I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. And I hope you good luck with your motorcycle or car. Everyone else, we will see you here in 2 weeks, and have a great rest of your Sunday. Adios, everyone.
Bye, guys.